Okay, hello again. Let me share my screen. Are you able to see my screen, by the way?
No.
No.
Let me try again. And let me check if it is recording. Yeah, it should. Yeah, it should be recording, but yeah, it is recording. Okay. Yeah, I mentioned pixel art, but I should also mention low poly art. You know, it's one of the cheapest of all art forms. You know, so low poly comes from the word low polygon. You know, it basically looks like this. It has a nice, light-hearted and funny feeling, and it's also easy to produce, and it doesn't take much time, and it doesn't take much space in your game either. So your game won't be like 1 GB or something like that if you use low polygon games. And a visual artist should basically decide which art style is great for the game. Yeah. Sorry. Let me go back to presentation. Where was it? Yeah, okay, it's here. Yeah. Another time for questions if you have. Okay. And yeah, animator is another role that's basically is between a visual artist and a developer, software developer. An animator is responsible for movements. It says in the slides character movements, but it's not limited to character movements. I mean, an animator can also animate other things. I mean, like it's best if your environment also has animations, so that your player will feel like he's in a real world. Yeah, I mean, he's also responsible for some UI elements. If you have played Hearthstone, let me just show you the game screen. Hearthstone play fields, let's say. Hearthstone is a card game, two-player card game, and a screen looks like this. Okay, it's a video. Okay, yeah. Okay, screen looks like this. And if you are bored out of the game, you can basically play with stuff in the game. I mean, you can see there are four corners, and you can say that there's a, game objects in all of four corners. So if you see the if you look at the scarecrow in the bottom right corner, just like the guy is basically clicking to the scarecrow, and scarecrow is moving, and the guy is clicking to top right, and now the top right is basically changing colors, you know, banner is changing colors. So these are all animations, like he's clicking to the left top and something is happening, you know. He's making someone eat the cookie, he's extinguishing the fire, he's ringing the bell, and he's doing all of that while he's waiting for his opponents. Um, so he's not getting bored because of those animations. And this is a great example for like environment animations, basically. Um, yeah, let's go back uh, to animator. Um, required abilities. I mean, he needs to be good in 2D and 3D animation, of course, and I mean, he like if he knows different animation techniques, and this is a benefit, like motion capture. Uh, is it called mocap? I don't remember. I mean, there are some different animation technologies and techniques in like both movies and games. So it's a plus if he knows about that. And let me check something. Oh, okay. Yeah, this animators, I mean, should be able to. I mean, in like when you are dealing with character animations, you basically consider what we call as bones in a character. So I mean, a bone is a virtual object that is between 2 points, and if you are creating an animation, um, a character animation, you basically need to define the bones of your character.
I think it's called rigging, right?
Yeah, rigging. It's called rigging, exactly. And an animator needs to know about rigging as well. I mean, he most probably will need this skill. Uh, and this is a job, like I said, between an artist and a software developer. So you use programs that enable you to rig and add bones to your characters, and you will need to have a good sense of art, basically. And if an animator is not doing his job well, then the game will look like this. Like, let me. No, this is. Not? Sorry. Let me search like this. Nah. Okay.
In honor of the most famous games in the description, game break ghosts. Quipper Rockets is that. Number 19, Invisible Faces, Assassin's Creed Unity.
Nah, I couldn't find a good example. I mean, yeah, this is a good example. Okay, great. So
Superman style.
okay.
Number 14.
Basically, the rigging for this character is done wrong, so that its bones are intersecting each other, and because of that, a game engine cannot decide if bones should like stay like this or it should stay like this, and even if something small like I don't know, a small gravity is affecting the guy, or even some small winds is affecting the guy, then game engine cannot decide if this guy's head should be facing upwards or downwards. So because of that, games looks glitched, you know.
Twisted Dr. Mitchell. Fallout New Vegas.
I'm Doc Mitchell. Welcome.
So this is
This creepy glitch is strangely relevant to the story, as the intro of New Vegas starts with the player getting shot in the head and having a doctor reconstruct the player's brain.
Truth is, the game was rigged from the start.
okay, I
But
guess.
upon awakening, you get the idea that he didn't get the reconstruction quite right. Oh, and if that wasn't creepy enough, look what he does next. Whoa there, what are you doing? Do you know what website we're on here?
Take it slow now. It ain't a race.
Number 13.
I mean, it doesn't look realistic, that's for sure. Yeah, let's. I mean, this is when things go wrong for the animator. I forgot to mention two things for those like roles. First of all, if we compare the employment opportunities and also the average income, I believe, and this is not, I mean, this can change depending on the company, but I believe engineers, software guys earn more. Lead game designers can earn more than lead engineers if they are great at their job, but same thing can be said in the other way around. If lead engineer is like really awesome at his job, and his previous experiences are shining, you know, he can earn more than the game designer. And as I know, visual artists start with something like 5,000 liras. This is what I heard, by the way. I'm not sure, and they can go up to 15,000 as a lead artist, you know. And audio guy's job is probably the hardest because you are, I mean, your job is easily replaceable, you know. I mean, you as a game designer, you can basically select another music for your game. So what usually happens is that I mean, as an audio designer, you upload your music, and if a guy likes your kind of music, if a designer likes your genre and kind of your music, he requires an audio sample. He asks for an audio sample from you, and you create this little sample, and if he likes the sample, then you get employed. If not, then you continue searching for another job. So yeah, this guy is not really I mean, finding an easy time. And what else? Yeah, we talked about artists. I mean, animators, I'm not sure about how much money they make, but I believe they are considered rare guys. in the gaming industry. So you are a good animator, you will be looked for, and you will be really searched for. You will be, how can I say, rewarded for your skills, I believe. And yeah, we will I will also talk about how to find a job as all of those roles at the end of this like list. Okay, we came to projects major. And do you have any other questions, by the way? I'm again feel like I'm
Did
talking.
you talk about the price range of the first 3 jobs?
I mean, I haven't talked
First two.
about all of those because I don't know about all of those. But yeah, I said that I will send you a survey for engineers. It's but I know about engineers. I mean, they start working for 4,000 liras, about that, around that, and they went to, I mean, 25,000 liras, if not more, depending on your experience level and depending on your uh, negotiation skills, basically. And generally, some roles tend to switch jobs more frequently. Um, for instance, engineers like to learn new things, so they like to switch jobs and learn new technologies, basically. Um, game designers don't like that very much because they are more bound to their work, basically. And audio designers really frequently change jobs because they can quickly finish the music design for a game, then they can move on to another music design for another game. Artists, I don't know. This is somewhere in the middle, I guess. And yeah, I don't know much about animators because in Turkey, 3D games are, I mean, in Turkey, animations are not that common in games if you consider the games developed in Turkey. And animation is basically done by game developers themselves in most of the cases, or artists can create an animation as well. So yeah, I mean, I don't know much about this role. And yeah, we came to project manager. I mean, did I skip any salary here? If you help me out, do you wonder any salaries questions? By the way, in gaming industry, companies know that it's funnier to be a game developer rather than a regular software engineer. So because they know about this, they tend to negotiate for less salary, and like a game developer earns, I mean, earns less and works more than a regular software developer, a mobile application developer, etc. In general, not always, but in general, I mean, if you have heard about Blizzard company, for instance, they just like make their game developers work for I mean, really long hours, and they don't pay that well. They pay actually bad, like they pay low, and like people work for Blizzard because they want to work on Blizzard, basically. They want to add Blizzard's name to their CV, basically. Yeah, so we should keep this in mind when we are trying to become game developers. But always there are exceptions to that rule. So, I mean, you can negotiate higher than your previous job. I mean, I have done that. Most people have done that. In Turkey, Peak Games is probably the highest paying company overall. Yeah, so there are exceptions, like I said. Yeah, what else? We arrived at the role of project management. I mean, someone needs to take this role. Okay. Sometimes game designer can take the role of project manager. Sometimes leads game developer can take the role of like project manager. Sometimes investor takes the role of project manager, and sometimes there's a separate project manager altogether. So yeah, he needs to be good at project scoping. That means that he needs to find the right size of the game for the team that will work on the game. I mean, you can't create Dota with 2 or 3 people. This is obvious. So you, like project manager, should basically find the right size that the team can produce. And he needs to also create a development plan. Last week in MyNet, we did exactly that. In my company, projects, like there was a project manager. His title was project manager, and he didn't do much game design up to this point. But currently we are working on a trading card game. It will be multiplayer. It will, I mean, let's say that we are developing Hearthstone. Okay, we are not developing Hearthstone, but we are developing something similar, genre-wise, of course. And he needs to design the game, of course. Not of course. I mean, in our team, we didn't have game designers, so this is why he took the role of a game designer. And last week we basically, actually it wasn't last week, it was this week, yesterday actually. We just had a meeting for, I don't know, 2-3 hours, and we have discussed the, like, we have discussed which feature we will develop first. I will search for the plan and try to show it to you after the break probably. And we basically worked together because I mean, we know about software and he knows about the budgeting, you know, he knows about monetization. So we had to come together because of that. And he needs to assess and mitigate risk. What we mean by that is he needs to be objective about the project, and he needs to be realistic about the project, and he needs to sometimes say things like, guys, this is not a funny game. Guys, this is a funny game, but this game won't make us money. Or maybe he needs to say things like, I mean, this is a great game. I mean, we plan to make good money out of it. But currently, a bigger company is creating a similar game to our game. So we will be underdog. Because of that, we need to publish our game before they do, so we can get some money before they release their products, so that we will have advantage over them. And because of that, we are taking our publishment time before the how can I say, before the dates we first planned, or sometimes he said things like, guys, our product has lots of bugs, and because of that we need to postpone our release dates, so that we will keep our audience happy. And Cyberpunk 2077 is a great example of that. They postponed it a couple of times because they wanted a polished, almost perfect game, and this will be, this approach of them is sometimes criticized, but mostly rewarded. Most players acknowledged the hardships to create a big game, and they felt happy that they will buy a polished game. Yeah. Any questions about project manager? About salary wise, he's he earns more than artists and sound designers and animators probably. He basically earns around lead engineers and game designers. I can say that. Yeah. And employment, how can you be a manager from the get-go? You don't, in most cases. You start to be a management associate. You start to work near a project manager, and you try to help him manage the projects basically. And after you get some experience in game companies, you are assigned to a new project, and you are responsible managing that project. So you are officially a project manager now. And in like there are lots of roles we talked about, and some roles are advanced roles. You don't start with being a lead engineer. You have to be a junior engineer, then become a mid-level engineer, then you go be a senior engineer, junior, mid-year, senior, then you become a lead engineer if you are lucky. And you can actually start with being a game designer, and junior artist, junior audio designer, and junior animator are also possible titles. Yeah, and generally, like I said, you start as a project manager associate or something like that. Your title won't be project manager from the get-go probably. Yeah. Other than that, public relations. This should be discussed because in most cases, if like indie games don't use this effectively, but they should. By indie games, I mean games developed by independent developers. They are not developed by big companies. They are developed by some friends and some family members maybe. There are games that are developed with a wife and a husband and nothing, like no one else. So yeah, and when you are creating an indie game, you will need to think about your audience more than other, not more, but I mean, you will need to communicate with your target audience basically, and you should do that really effectively, because otherwise your game won't be different than another independent game, you know. So you will try to convince your players to buy your game, and sometimes best way to do this is hiring a public relations guy, you know, PR guy, we should say. This PR guy needs to communicate and needs to find good ways to communicate. You know, if your target audience is using Facebook a lot, then this guy should focus on Facebook uh, posts. And if your target audience is playing, I don't know, Minecraft a lot, this guy should find ways to target Minecraft players, you know. And this guy is also responsible for creating a brand for your company, and like sometimes you know, game companies even address sad situations and political situations, and basically they're working on branding. Let me give you an example of that. Do you know Ahmet Kural was the face for Yapı Kredi for some time? Do you remember those times? It was 2 years ago, I guess. 2, 3 years ago. So Ahmet Kural, right? Let me check. Yeah. Do you know this advertisement? I can, by the way, if you are talking, I cannot hear. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yes.
Okay. I really felt there's a connection issue. Yeah. Basically, what happens was this guy was alleged guilty because of beating his girlfriend Sıla. Do you know this stuff? Like this is
Yes.
oh, okay, great. By the way, this guy was right, and at the end of this court, he wasn't found guilty. He proved his innocence basically, but when like people talked bad about this guy, Yapı Kredi basically cut all connections with this guy. And I remember when I was working in Yapı Kredi, Yapı Kredi basically published how can I say, they published some, I mean, they published this basically. I found it here. So they really made good branding, and they stood next to women basically, and they said that they won't work with Ahmet Kural anymore, even before courts has ended. So they did good branding actually, but ethically, I mean, they weren't fair on Ahmet Kural. And I remember working in Yapı Kredi. I mean, we had a funny event. We were about to make a release that included Ahmet Kural in our screens, you know, and like this events popped up to the newspapers, and because of that, this evening, like PR team decided to stop the release and take Ahmet Kural's picture from everywhere in our application and create a new release. So because of that, for 1 week, our developers worked on removing Ahmet Kural. So this is what public relationship managers do, basically. Yeah. And they do their best to attract new players. And they do their best to find good influencers. These influencers can be from Twitch, you know, Twitch streamers. They can sometimes be YouTubers, Instagrammers, etc. If like sometimes you see Twitch streamers play a different games than they usually play, right? This is probably because they get money out of that, out of playing those games, you know, because one of the best ways to introduce your game to new players is making an influencer play your game and influence other possible players. And this PR guy sometimes try to find rich guys for your game. Yeah. In smaller teams, PR job is done by the company owner or product manager sometimes. Yeah, that's all I wanted to say. And sometimes, yeah, like most often, PR guy knows some advertisements. Yeah. Any questions? What, this guy? Are you tired or bored? Do you want a break?
We're just hungry.
You're just hungry. Hungry for information or for food? Okay. If you want a break, we can give a break. It's up to you.
I think that would be good. I
Okay,
feel a bit tired.
15 minutes is okay?
Yeah, that would be good.
Okay, let's give a 15 minutes break. We will actually 18 minutes break. Okay, we will be here 20 past 8. Okay. Okay, see you later then.
See you.